What is the dream meaning of the color blue? The color blue gets attributed traditionally to ideas about royalty and responsibility. It is seen as among the professions like the police force or even medical personnel. Dreaming about the color blue may symbolize both negative and positive factors. You may dream of blue about nature, the sky, the ocean, lakes, natural stone, or even animals. There are many animals that have a grayish fur that they look kind of bluish from a distance. Or you can dream of blue about a room or a piece of cloth. Your dreams may be related to the appearance of blue in its setting. So a clear blue sky means a fresh start, a bright future, hope, or positivity. The key takeaway, of course, is its limitless or unbounded quality. The sky is hard to limit. It's hard to pin down. It's hard to restrict or constrain. These meanings, though, may be related to the settings which the color blue occurs. For example, a clear blue sky during rainy seasons may not be all that positive because all that rain may turn into a flood, which may be a headache for farmers or people on the ground. But if it's a light rain and it's regular or consistent, this is good news for farmers. Your dreams may also relate to whatever happens to you in a blue setting. Maybe you're drowning in a blue lake or sea, or attending a wedding in a blue dress, or you're even feeling stressed out and all you see is the blue color around you. It may even take the form of a blue light that is shining on you or towards you. These dreams have different meanings depending on the context, as I will explain below. What does the color blue symbolize? Blue is often associated with feelings of reliance and devotion. It is considered a symbol of stability and reliability. Maybe you're always financially stable and you have a giving heart. You never want to see anyone close to you suffer because you know how it feels to be on the broke end or the one who is receiving. You always help those who are around you in times of need. Blue also represents calm and serenity as it is a fantastic and soothing color. For example, your girlfriend is behaving in a very obnoxious way in public. You try to talk her out, but she starts arguing with you. All the while she's talking back and abusing you, you are silent. You know, talking back will make the situation worse. You act as gently and as calmly as possible because all you need is peace. And this leads to peace breaking out in your relationship. It's a starting point for a more calm conversation. The color blue may also represent dependability and responsibility. For instance, your parents may have died while you were in high school, or they may have gone away, or one of your parents might have disappeared in your life. Your relatives want to take your siblings to support them, but you don't want this. You want to stay together with them, and you start to hustle and do what you can to keep your family together. This is one dynamic of the color blue that emanates from your past. Anything that relates to family or keeping your family together or putting in the effort to support or sustain your family can involve the color blue in your dreams. Blue can also involve a political leader that you admire. Maybe you like his or her version of what the future should be. Maybe you're under the impression that this person handles matters in such an organized and clear-eyed way that you can't help but be impressed. In fact, you are so taken in by this political leader that you are thinking of becoming such a leader in the future. At the very least, you want to be like this person because you truly admire their character. What does it mean if you dream of a blue sky? Dreaming of a blue sky can symbolize positivity and a sense of hope. If the blue sky in your dream is bright and cheerful, it may symbolize a positive outlook or a sense of optimism. You may have been moving up and down looking for a job to no avail. Maybe you're looking for some sort of promotion, but it seems that one door after another keeps getting slammed in front of you. A blue sky in your dream can symbolize great opportunities that are opening up when you claim freedom and openness. What this means is that you have to give yourself permission to fully apply yourself. You can't just go through the motions. You can't just fill out a cover letter and send the exact same cover letter with the exact same wording to hundreds of employers. It doesn't work that way. You have to customize. You have to really put in the effort to look for a job that best fits your experiences so you can get the outcome you're looking for. For the longest time, this is the kind of project that is scaring you because it seems like it's too much work. It seems like there's so many T's to cross and I's to dot that you'd rather be bothered with something else. It's too much of a hassle. Well, when you've given yourself permission to claim the freedom to try and the openness of all the possibilities and opportunities out there, you find the strength to actually put in the work, and before you know it, whatever it is you are hoping to accomplish with your efforts on a day-to-day basis, maybe it's a new relationship, maybe it's a raise or a promotion or whatnot, starts materializing. Because the world hasn't really changed all that much. It still operates by the same rules as yesterday. And what is one of the main rules? One of the main operating rules for the world is that you get out what you put in. So if you're looking for a certain outcome and you know what you need to do to achieve such outcome, and you put in the work, don't be all that surprised if your plan comes to pass. No big surprise. It's not shocking at all. What does it mean to see a crystal blue sky? When you look at the sky, normally it has clouds. Normally there is some sort of feature in the sky that kind of blocks your view. You never really see a clean crystal blue dome that covers the earth. There's always some feature out there that gets in the way. Some people might even say that it ruins the view because they're looking for a crystal blue vision. Well, if you see in your dream a crystal blue sky, your subconscious is trying to speak to you regarding your ideals. It seems that a lot of your day-to-day experiences are pointing you in the direction of clarifying what your values truly are. If you put in enough work into fully understanding what this crystal blue sky dream means in your day-to-day life, your life may change for the better. Why? You're not just muddling along when it comes to your values. You're not just going day-to-day, rolling with the punches, taking things as they come, and bending your values or even turning a blind eye to them because you have more practical things to worry about. Instead, you start looking at your values and challenging them. Do they make sense to you? Do they really reflect the person that you want to become? Because at the end of the day, it's all about choosing who you want to become. It's also about choosing the kind of reality you want to live in. And once you take this level of control over your inner world, everything starts to fall into place because now you have a clear North Star. You have a clear guide. And the things that you think about, say, and feel on a day-to-day basis start to change. And guess what? Once you start changing and your emotions start lining up with the values and priorities of the person you want to be, you start acting differently. And this is where your world starts to change. I mean, I keep saying this in this channel because this is the absolute truth. The world doesn't care about your intentions and motivations. It really couldn't care less about your feelings. All of us have feelings. But you know what the world cares about? You know what it sits up and pays attention to when we do it? It's our actions. This is how we edit the world. Because our actions trigger a chain reaction that eventually snowballs in all directions. That's how consequential you are. It may seem like you're another face in the crowd, but don't fool yourself. You do have a role to play in this universe, and you do have an impact. When you change your actions, you start changing your reality. So when you start seeing this crystal blue sky in your dream, your subconscious is telling you you now have the level of intentionality to actually make things happen, instead of being this person who just goes around reacting to things and living a life that he or she didn't create and simply saying, what happened? So congratulate yourself if you see dream after dream where the main focus is the crystal clear sky. What does it mean to dream of crystal clear water? In this context, the crystal clear blue water represents an amazing level of honesty, authenticity, and clarity regarding your emotions. As I mentioned in the section above, the world doesn't really care about what you feel. Everybody's got intentions and motivations. We all know what we could have done or should have done or would have done. All of that may be important to us, but when it comes to the world at large, they couldn't care less. Why? They're too focused on what you do. As the old saying goes, Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. And this also applies to your emotions. Your behavior is so strong and it's so overpowering, I can't pay attention to your emotions. Well, when you start seeing crystal blue water in your dream, and it's the central focus of your nighttime vision, you need to sit up and pay attention, because it means that you are now beginning to fully understand why you feel the way you feel about certain things on a day-to-day basis. And this level of understanding, as small and as initial or as tiny as it may seem right now, may be that small break in your consciousness that you need to keep expanding on until you can fully control your emotions. This way, you stop thinking in emotional terms. You stop making decisions based on impulse, and you start focusing on thinking and feeling a certain way so that your values and priorities will always take priority. And this leads to more predictable outcomes. This leads to a kind of life that you can be proud of, or a life that you feel you've really created for yourself. You don't feel like this person that's just basically reacting to the world at large and doesn't really feel any sense of control. Again, when you see this crystal clear blue color and it's reflected or embodied in water, pay attention, because the water represents your emotions. Now you're beginning to master your emotions, and that's always a good thing. What does it mean to dream about a blue lake? It depends on why the lake is blue. There are certain chemicals that would turn water blue. So that lake that you're seeing, as calming and soothing as that image may seem, might actually be a warning sign, because there's no fresh water coming into the lake. It's a sterile lake. It's dead. On the other hand, if there is a sign that it is being fed by streams or some river, then that lake is dynamic. And despite the turbulence of the new water being mixed in and its interaction with the surrounding land, what you get is a crystal blue impression of the water. This tells you your increasing level of emotional discipline. Whatever the specific context is, your subconscious is telling you to pay more attention to your emotions. These are not just feelings that grip you from time to time. They actually play a big role in how you make decisions, how you get along with others, and ultimately, the kind of life you make for yourself. It may well turn out that you're actually pursuing dreams and hopes that aren't really yours. They don't really make sense when it comes to your life, but your feelings and emotions have just gotten the best of you that you can't see clearly. So you become a slave to things you think are important because they make you feel good, or they stress you out, give you a sense of urgency. But in reality, you're just chasing a feeling. It is not rooted in who you are. It is not informed about your priorities and values, and no wonder you find yourself chasing your tail. You're just going around in circles. What does it mean if you dream of being in a blue dress? Dresses reflect roles. When you wear a dress in a dream, there are two levels of communication going on. First, you're sending a signal to the world. Please understand there's a big difference between wearing a police uniform and the uniform of a nurse. You're sending completely different messages to the outside world. But you also have to pay attention to the impressions you get when you look at the mirror and you see yourself wearing one dress instead of another. A blue dress represents an increasing awareness about honesty, or the need for honesty. For the longest time, you feel that your roles have gotten the better of you. Let's just put it that way. You really can't quite explain them. You feel you just have to go through the motions. And in many cases, you feel that there's a lot of traditions in your life that you really can't fully explain and you really can't fully understand. But they're driving your life. They're putting you in certain social situations that you may or may not be fully happy with. Well, when you see that blue dress, your subconscious is telling you, you need to be more selective and intentional regarding the roles that you project to the outside world. This doesn't have to be your face. This doesn't have to be your outside life or external life. You can choose a better way. And the better way really is not defined by some sort of absolute standard. Although there are absolute standards in the universe, I'm talking about absolute standard in terms of social reality. Because a lot of times that in of itself is a form of oppression. It's a form of slavery. So you have to find your own dress. You have to find your own way of projecting this internal reality that you yourself have intentionally chosen. Is this easy? Of course not. And it definitely doesn't happen overnight, but it is definitely worth doing. What does it mean if you dream about wearing a blue coat? Unlike a dress that is very hard to take off, and you'll often need to go into a special space to change dresses, a coat is much easier to replace. In this context, your coat represents authority. And when you see yourself wearing a blue coat, you are experiencing your subconscious in your dreams telling you that your authority and status are driven primarily by your emotions. This may be a good thing, because if you were not driven by the need to impress others or to seek validation from others, chances are you probably would settle for less. Chances are your dreams may not be as big and as outsized or grandiose as they are now. But this also has a dark dimension. If you are so focused on your emotions and you don't really see the big picture, or you don't really see the clear delineations or boundaries of your emotions, then you're just going after a feeling. And after you put in all this work to achieve a certain status or to get in with the right crowd, your subconscious, this nagging little voice inside your head, tells you, in the end, all of this didn't really matter because you weren't true to yourself. You thought all along that you were chasing after yourself, your inner truth, and you understood what it was. But in reality, you allowed yourself to be taken in by some sort of group delusion or some group goal or traditional values that other people may place a lot of stock in and may think it's the best thing since sliced bread, but in reality has little to offer your life on a day-to-day basis. In the end, it didn't really matter. This is a very soul-shattering conclusion if you are in your 50s and you base your whole career going one direction because you thought you have it all figured out, and in reality, you're just chasing somebody else's dreams or playing according to somebody else's rules. It has to make sense to you on an individual spiritual level, or else it's not worth doing. What does it mean if you dream about a blue light shining toward you? A blue light shining toward you in a dream may reflect feelings of self-possession and tranquility. This image often works in terms of opposition. What I mean by that is in your daily waking life, you may be going through a tough time. Maybe your relationship is ending. Maybe you are having all sorts of tension and drama or arguments with your coworkers. Or maybe there's some sort of trouble in your family. And as a result of all these factors and more, you're under a tremendous amount of emotional stress. When you dream that there is this blue light that somehow, some way, from some place calms you and soothes you, your subconscious is telling you three important truths. One, you have the ability to be calm. It doesn't come from outside of you. It doesn't have to be imposed on you. You already have it within you. You just need to reconnect with it. Two, it is worthwhile for you to seek calmness, peace, and inner serenity. These are not cliches. These are not luxuries. These are absolute necessities if you want a complete life. The third is that it requires a sense of truth. We live in such a complicated world that so many of us have basically just given up on the idea of truth. A lot of people are just so practical and so adaptable and versatile that their definition of truth pretty much changes based on the shifting circumstances that they are facing on an almost moment-to-moment basis. And it is no surprise then that when push comes to shove, they have nothing to build their life on because everything is situational. Everything can be negotiated and everything is transactional. When you see this image of this powerful blue light shining on you, it is basically telling you that the universe has standards. There is such a thing as truth there. And you just have to allow yourself to find that truth, because it is worth pursuing. This can lead to God, and this can lead to peace. What does it mean to dream of a bright blue gemstone? There are two symbols going on here. Gemstones, of course, connote a treasure. Treasures are often buried. Treasures are often easy to overlook unless you have, of course, a treasure map. And what your subconscious is telling you, that this bright blue gemstone with its power of calm, peace, and serenity is worth pursuing. It is valuable. And it is not a byproduct or automatic outcome of what you're doing now. This is a very powerful message that most people need to pay attention to, because they think, a lot of us think, that if we just achieve all our goals, then that sense of serenity, harmony, peace, and completion will happen by default, because the goals are simply means to that ultimate state. Well, you can't be too sure, because so many people focus so much on the specific form of their striving. And I'm talking about aiming for money, aiming for sex, aiming for social status, that once they get there, they really can't find the peace. They really can't find this sense of purpose. So your subconscious is telling you that this is separate and distinct from the things that you think you are aiming after. And if you want this cool, heavy feeling of tranquility that just gives you so much tremendous personal peace, it has to be intentionally sought after. You cannot assume that just because you followed your hopes and dreams that somehow all of this will miraculously greet you at the end or at the other side. It doesn't work that way. What does it mean if a blue parrot appears in your dream? A blue parrot is a very beautiful bird. Usually these come from the Amazon or some tropical place. They truly are a sight to behold. A blue parrot in dreams represents your subconscious manifesting unpleasant truths or funny truths at times that you least expect. So when you are going through your relationship issues, allow yourself to be open to flashes of insight that may lead you to a better relationship. The same goes with your job, your business, your finances, or what else have you. Don't think that everything has to, that all insight regarding the real meaning of things or the deeper state of your being have to be so serious that they have to involve some sort of fixed form that you know is serious and solemn or somber. Sometimes people can joke around to poke at the real truth that you may have overlooked. Maybe you're so serious that you have restricted or you'll just pigeonholed what is really true in all areas of your life into some sort of formula. I really don't know how you individually or personally frame this, but it's different with every person. But we all think in formulaic terms at some level or other, and sometimes it takes a funny joke to break all of that apart and train our eyes on what we should be paying attention to. This just might be the break we're looking for to attain a deeper level of self-introspection so we can finally reach or access personal truth. What does it mean if you dream about a blue room? Dreaming about a blue room is about dreaming about solitude. You may be an extroverted person, or you may be under the impression that you need people to function, but a lot of us need some time off. This is a place where we don't have to be somebody else. We don't have to pretend to be somebody. We don't have to pretend that we know everything. We just need to be in one place geographically and physically so that we can get this impression that we just are. This is a very powerful feeling, because when you feel that you just are, you're not feeling that you have to become like somebody else or that you have to track your state or process of being. You just are. So give yourself that luxury. This means giving yourself time. This means saying no to a lot of tasks that are often assigned to you or the things that you take on a day-to-day basis. Give yourself that 10 to 15 minutes every day to just be with yourself. And before you know it, it becomes a habit and you become more comfortable with yourself and all these truths start to bubble up to the surface. It becomes calming, soothing, and pretty soon it acts as a key that you turn to unlock your unlimited potential. Peace has a way of doing that. Serenity enables you to tap into your unlimited capabilities. What are the positive signs of dreaming of blue color? The positive signs of the color blue really boils down to freedom, limitless possibilities, and the ability to turn potential into reality. You can't help but feel optimistic because there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to feel small about. There's no past to agonize over. Everything is fresh. Everything is active. Everything is present. But despite all of this positive energy, it also has a calming and soothing dimension because the truth not only sets you free, but it also calms you down. Now, it may not be what you expected. A lot of the times, the truth upsets us before it liberates us. But as long as you give yourself permission to fully engage with it, you can benefit from it. It can really bring blessings to your life. What are the negative signs of dreaming of the color blue? The biggest negative that I see from the symbolic dream image of the color blue is the responsibility it brings to the table. Because it's very easy to wrap your head around the positive dynamics of the color blue in dreams. You're feeling stuck, you're frustrated or disappointed, you're worrying yourself to death about past decisions that you made. And then you start thinking of the color blue because it appeared in your dream and it fills you with calmness. It reconnects you with your personal power and all that good stuff that I talked about earlier. That is all well and good. But here's the problem. While that may be true, it also requires that you take action. And this is where people get cold feet. Because let me tell you, the number one person that will get in the way of you fully living up to your potential is not somebody in your past. It's not somebody in the present that you think has it in for you. It is not your arch enemy. It's none of that. You know who that person is? You. Because we're all creatures of habit. And when we see that there is a path to the kind of life or outcome that we desire, we hesitate because now is the moment of choosing. Now there's no excuse. We've seen the path. We see the framework. The steps are laid out, but we're afraid. We don't want to put one foot in front of the other because that requires dedication, sacrifice, commitment. We'd rather deal with the day-to-day frustrations that we're accustomed to than taking a risk on going on this grand journey with all its mistakes, with all its learning curves. So we remain stuck. It's your choice. Understand that this is going on. Understand that this is your real impediment. And if you're able to get over this, the world is going to be an amazing place.